आरती नेऊ का? कृष्णचंद्र भगवान की श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय जगत कृष्ण प्रभुपाद की समागत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय जय पतित महाराज की जय जय गौर प्रेमानंद। हरि बोल हरे कृष्ण। हरे कृष्ण हरे कृष्ण। Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
आप वरिष्ठोनयो भुवस्तान भूते ददातना महेरणाय चक्षुषेरो शिरतमोर्गो मातरं तस्मान् माहो एकक्षयाय जन्मता आपो जन्मता पुनः ओम सर्वनाथ सुतोद कष्टाय ओम अज्ञान तिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया लक्ष्मणं मिलितं येन तस्मै श्री नमः पादारविन्दं पुष्पाञ्जलिं
सामने और एक निमिष लाइव पास स्टिल पड़ता है फोटो मिस ಮಾಡಿ ಅಂತು ರಿಲ್ಯಾಕ್ಸ್
Very good. Vijay. Sound with that. बोलिए श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे राम राम हरे बोलो सभी लोग जोर से कीर्तन
Oh, that's a PowerPoint.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. We welcome you all to Bhakti Shastri Graduation Ceremony 2022. Thank you very much for being here. We hope you all are having a blissful evening and will continue to do so. We are very fortunate to have the association of His Holiness Baba Swami Maharaj, and I take this opportunity to glorify Maharaj. Although we cannot glorify Krishna and his devotees completely, I make the humble attempt to do so. His Holiness Baba Swami Maharaj was born in Canada. He joined the Hare Krishna movement in India in 1970. He got initiated in 1971 by Srila Prabhupada. He took sannyas in 1984. His Holiness was personally instructed in the art of deity worship by Srila Prabhupada, and within iskcon, he has become an authority on the topic. His Holiness Baba Swami Maharaj has been a GTC member since 2003. His zonal assignments cover South India, and he is a co-GTC for Japan. His history in management is as a regional secretary for South India since 1986. Having spent the last few decades in residence in Chennai, he has a clear understanding of the region. His GTC committee responsibilities include chairmanship and currently participation in Lines of Authority Committee for Strategic Planning Initiative. A scholar in Sanskrit and in Bengali, His Holiness Manaswami Maharaj has translated 15 significant works of Gaudiya Vaishnava, with 6 more titles in progress. Many of these works are commentaries from primary members of Gaudiya Sampradaya on Bhagavad Gita, Shri Upanishad, Srimad Bhagavatam. Bana Maharaj's contribution is a lasting one. Thank you, Maharaj, for blessing us with your association. We will now have a lecture by His Holiness Manaswami Maharaj.
Bye.
Namo Shivaya Krishna Prasad Gudale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shundravani Vastapadesha Karane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Bharata Shri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, how many of you need translation? Hindi translation? Can you raise your hand? हिंदी किसको हिंदी में अनुवाद की जरूरत है? कृपया अपना हाथ उठाइए.
नंबर बहुत कम है नारी प्रभु, एक साइड में बैठे थे तो बेटर है. नंबर बहुत कम है हिंदी के ट्रांसलेशन के लिए.
आप सब भक्तजन प्लीज इस तरफ आ जाइए और एक साथ बैठ जाइए तो आपके लिए हिंदी में अनुवाद हो जाएगा.
Camera.
इस तरफ आ जाइए.
इधर नहीं तो इधर आ जाइए. सेंटर छोड़ दीजिए.
यार क्या अनुवाद देखो और प्लीज इकड़े बनबिड़ी.
एक्चुअली बहुत कम नंबर है. आप एक जगह इकट्ठे हुई है तो समय बचेगा और वो हिंदी में हिंदी वाले करेंगे, कन्नड़ा वाले कन्नड़ा में करेंगे. तो आप साथ में इकट्ठे बैठिए.
एडजस्ट कर
ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅನುವಾದ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ ಅನುವಾದ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ. ಪ್ಲೀಸ್ ಈ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದ್ಬಿಡಿ ಒಟ್ಟಿಗೆ.
ಓಪನ್ ಮಾಡಿ. ಆತಾ ಲಾಕ್.
Okay. Namo Shivaya Krishna Prasad Gudale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Nidinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachadane Nirvishesha Shundravani Vastapadesha Karane Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaura Bhaktivedanta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the title of this presentation is Beyond Birth and Death. So everybody here has been born, yes? What about death? Everybody here has died? Yes. Oh, I see. Well, everybody is born in this world, and there's a common feature. We have birthdays to celebrate the birth, etc. We know all about that, and we have doctors who can see inside the womb of the mother, they can see the baby growing, etc. So we know all about birth. Death is a little more difficult to explain. Even scientists are a little puzzled about what death is. Is it just the breakdown of the body, or is there some other element there? Nevertheless, all societies of the world have given a significance to death. So though societies may not have so many rituals, most societies, even since caveman time, they've been having death rituals. So the transition from life to death is very puzzling for many people. And of course, we know in Egypt they made pyramids and mummies and so many things to try to live forever. So death is very puzzling. But also puzzling is between the birth and the death we have the life. And even life is a big mystery. So, of course, scientists try to analyze everything in life, and they can take our body, and chemists can tell you all the elements in your body, like calcium, water, and iron, phosphorus, and whatever else there is, all the substances in your body. Of course, what is the worth? About
As you go and tell mother you don't talk, so much talks going on.
So technically, the worth of your body is 200 rupees maybe. So we're not really satisfied with that answer. What is the worth of a human being? 200 rupees. No. So we still.
हरे कृष्णा, बहुत आवाज आ रही है, आप सुन नहीं रहे हैं, आपस में बात कर रहे हैं। महाराज का लेक्चर सुनिए, बात मत करिए। Please don't talk. Listen. If anybody has to talk, please go down and talk.
Okay, so who are we? So then biologists will also discuss about who we are, and they'll give you the theory of evolution. And probably everybody in school has been taught this theory. This is a theory about how we evolve gradually from single-cell creatures into multi-cell creatures, and then we get reptiles and fish and mammals, and then eventually we get human beings as a result of mutations over thousands and thousands and thousands, millions of years. So that's another theory, evolution. Of course, we don't know whether we're evolving or not at the moment. Maybe we're devolving. Going backwards, we don't know. And according to Bhagavatam, yes, that's correct. We go from Satya Yuga to Kali Yuga. That's degradation or devolution. So are we evolving or not? Is the theory of evolution or devolution? We don't know. In any case, we think we're advanced, but we're advanced. One of our advancements is we're advanced at killing each other. We do what no other animal can do. We invent ways of killing ourselves. So our nations spend enormous amounts of money on weapons to kill each other. And the human civilization is always in danger of destroying itself, simply because of our weapons. So our advanced intelligence maybe is not so intelligent after all. So, physicists will also give us an answer, who are we and what is life and what is death, and they'll examine the whole universe and they'll give us the dimensions, the diameter of the universe, which is some big number you cannot even imagine. It's so big that you can never even travel across it in billions of years. And we have, Stephen Hawking, theoretical physicist, will do all sorts of theories about how the universe arose. But in any case, we also know that there are billions of galaxies, and each galaxy has millions and millions of planets and stars in it. So the possibilities of life existing in other parts of the universe is definitely there. And then among all those galaxies and stars and whatever, we have our Earth here, little Earth, which came about kind of after the Big Bang, etc. Whatever. So physicists will give us a big explanation of a huge expanse of space, huge expanse of universe, huge expanse of time, a big explosion, etc. But we're ultimately left with still asking, what is the meaning of life? Because it's all by chance. Whether it is biology and evolution, or chemicals, or physics and astrophysics, and whatever, the meaning of life itself is still very, very unsatisfying for us because it doesn't really make sense. So we're left with that question, who are we? Why we exist, etc. So these are common questions for the human being to ask, as Prabhupada points out in the Bhagavad Gita introduction. These are the questions that a human being asks. The animal will ask, where is my food? Where is the enemy? But a human being can ask, why do I exist? So that's a very important question for the human being. Unfortunately, we don't get a good answer to that. I didn't think about that for a long time, but nobody has a real good answer to that question. And philosophers have been asking that question forever. But we do have an answer in the Vedic scriptures. So Veda means knowledge. So here we get not just material knowledge about math and physics and biology, etc. We get this knowledge so that we can answer this question: who are we? What is our goal in life? What happens when we die? What is birth? So these questions can be answered through the scriptures, whereas it says in chemistry, biology, and physics, they really can't answer the question to the satisfaction of the human being. They can give us some abstract answers and figures, but it's not really satisfying. So the Vedic scriptures can give us the answer. And the many Vedic scriptures, but we just take a simple scripture, that is Bhagavad Gita, which summarizes all the Vedic knowledge, and then we'll get a very direct answer to who we are. In fact, that so many philosophers from the ancient Greeks, etc., were wondering about who we are, except the Egyptians were wondering what is birth and death, but never came to any satisfying conclusion. And even the religions of the world have this problem also. They don't really explain things. But at the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita itself, we have a very concise answer, which you probably all read if you read the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita. You are not the body at all, you're the soul. And the soul, the Atma, passes from boyhood to youth to old age. And when you die, the soul goes up the body. So that's an explanation of what is birth and death. Birth is you get a body, death is you leave a body. But you don't die. So birth and death are not really significant because you're the Atma, you're the soul beyond birth and death. So this is a very revolutionary answer to this question, what is life, etc. Instead of thinking it's a bunch of chemicals getting together or whatever, or an explosion or a big bang or whatever, it's something which is never created or destroyed. The self, who you are, is eternal. The body is born and die, but you don't die. So this is a very concise answer to this question which the wisest people in the world cannot find an answer to. That which pervades the entire body should know to be indestructible, known, able to destroy that imperishable soul. So over and over in the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna repeats this message so that we can understand. And in this way, we get a solace for this problem of death, which was also afflicting Arjuna. Now, if we are doubtful, we don't believe scripture, whatever, then we'll ask, well, why should we believe Bhagavad Gita? But of course, we can also answer, well, you can believe science, but is it satisfying? We'll say, no, it isn't. Whatever they tell you about life and birth and death is really satisfying. There's a bunch of chemicals, or a bunch of atoms, or it's only a chance. That's not satisfying to us also. So, but anyway, science itself also, curiously enough, in the modern age, has confirmed, indirectly, because science cannot prove the soul because it cannot see the soul at all with physical instruments. But there are methods by which there is some sort of confirmation that soul exists. For instance, Dr. Ian Stevenson, the psychiatrist in America, he investigated 2,600 children who remembered a previous life. So he was interested, what's happening to the brains of these children, that they're getting these weird memories of something. So he was wondering what's the psychological, chemical, or whatever, or experience they have, or what is triggering this strange phenomenon. So he got curious, so he did a study, detailed scientific study of 2,600 children, interviewing them, etc., discarding fake cases or questionable cases or whatever. But after investigating all of this, he came to the conclusion to say that I believe in reincarnation on the basis of evidence, which reincarnation means you go from one body to another. The one soul goes from one body to another. That was his conclusion. Scientist, who's an atheist. Why? Because he couldn't explain how children have memories of a previous life, etc. Huh? So he says, there may be two streams of evolution, the biological one where your body goes through changes and animal change into other animals, etc. But then there's the other one, which is the real you. And you go from body to body and you accrue new experiences life after life. Just as you grow in your experience in this life after life, you also grow in experience. So in that way, your soul is evolving over many births and experiences. So that was his conclusion, scientist. Which confirms simply what Bhagavad Gita is saying here. We have this nice picture from Bhagavad Gita, where the old person is dying, and then he gets born again into a new body, and he grows up, and then he dies again, and the Atma goes to another body again, and this is the infinity sign here. Birth and death goes on forever. The Atma is eternal, and it goes from body to body to body to body to body. And body also, not just human body. So, this was the conclusion of the scientists. This after studying children who remember a previous life, etc. In the Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, then Krishna also makes an important statement. Whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his present body, in his next life, he will attain that state without fail. So if you think of something when you die, you become that. That also is difficult to prove. How can we prove that? Because no one's going to come back and say, I died, I got into body, I got back here again. You can't do that. But, interestingly enough, of course we have the case of scripture, which is also proof from Santa, that Bharat, he died and he thought of a deer when he died. What happened? He became a deer. So whatever you think of when you die, you become that. So what is the lesson we learn? You should be careful of what you think of when you're dying. Which means also, what are you going to think of when you die? Can you control that? You'll think of that which you're most attached to when you die. So you better be careful what you're attached to when you're dying. And how do you get attached? Because all your life you're attached to that thing, and then when you're dying also, so you have to be very careful. Anyway, the same Dr. Ian Stevenson, he made an interesting discovery. Children, they have memories of previous lifetime. Some of them have very tragic deaths. They may be run over by a car, they may be shot in the head, they may be stabbed in the chest or whatever like that. And he found that on the next body, what they're in now, that they remember the previous lifetime, they have scars from that death on their body. For instance, here is a child here, and on his chest you see there's a mark here. There's several marks actually. There's a big hole there, and then there's little holes all around it. So, this was the child in this lifetime. What he remembered was previous lifetime. As an adult, he had a family, etc. And he got shot by a shotgun. And the shotgun has many little bullets in it. And he got shot in the chest and he died. And that same pattern, which is the autopsy report of the previous person who died, that same pattern is on the chest of the child who was born some years later. So in other words, the scars that were imprinted in the death of one body got transferred into the next body of that child, which remained as his birthmarks forever on that body. Not just him. Here's a child here with no ear, born with no ear. Why no ear? No genetic cause. But he remembers his previous lifetime. What happened in previous lifetime? He got shot in the head, and his ear was blown off, like part of his head also. So he has a scar here, no ear. Another case of a child who has no leg below the knee. No genetic reason for that. But in previous lifetime, child remembers previous lifetime. I was run over by a train, my leg got cut off. So that memory of the missing limb or the injured limb at death got transferred into another body. So the memory of death influenced the next body. Just as by what you remember when you die, you'll become that. So this is another sort of proof, again. Based, of course, on memories of children, so it's indirect. But nevertheless, it's very interesting. How can you explain this? Well, we can explain why what Gita says, what's on your mind at death, that gets into your next body and forms your next body. This also shows that your mind is very powerful. And what's in your mind at death gets imprinted into your next body. So that's why you have to be careful what you cultivate in your mind in this lifetime. So, the American Medical Association has stated concerning Dr. Ian Stevenson's research in regard to reincarnation, he has painstakingly and unemotionally collected a detailed series of cases from India, cases in which the evidence is difficult to explain on any other grounds. He has placed on record a large amount of data that cannot be ignored. So even some scientists are now very serious to consider that maybe we're not the body after all. Now there's another field also in science where doctors are questioning, are we just a body or not? And that is, people almost die and their heart stops and the brain stops. Then they get back to life later on. No explanation how they get back to life when the brain is dead, heart is stopped. But the curious thing is, when they are dead, they have memories. But how can they have memories? Because the brain is dead. There's no brain waves going on. But they have memories. What are their memories of? They have memories of the doctors talking. They have memories of the doctors trying to revive them. There's so many memories. How is it possible they have any memories at all when they're dead? So, some doctors got a little curious about this. How can you have these memories? Is it true or not? So many doctors have investigated this because they get these patients who start talking about, I died and had these memories like this, so what is this? So they discovered one thing. They have very common experiences, different people. They may be rich, they may be poor, they may be a doctor, they may be a painter, they may be a laborer, they may be religious, they may be non-religious, but they had very similar experiences. One is that when they're dead, they separate from the body and they can perceive, they are conscious, even though the brain dead. They can perceive themselves floating out of their body, and they can look at their dead body and they look at all the nurses and doctors trying to revive them, or they look at the ambulance come and put them into the ambulance or whatever. So they separate from the body and they can perceive that. Then they start going through a tunnel with a light at the end. And they get through the tunnel, go through the light, and they end up in another world, a world of light, a world with forms, but not like these forms, kind of like spirituals. Everybody thinks, I'm in heaven now. I'm dying in heaven like this. And they're very peaceful. They don't experience the pains of their accident or whatever. Some have car accidents, some have heart attacks or whatever. They don't experience any pain. They're very peaceful or whatever. But then interestingly enough, they also go through this experience of seeing dead relatives and they talk to them. They may see spiritual beings or angels or whatever. They also get a review of their life from birth onwards, like a fast movie, all the way up until the death. All the events of their life go by them like this. So these are the common experiences of people that have a near-death experience. Why would they all have the same experience? Type of experience. And so their doctors say, maybe it's anesthesia, maybe it's some chemical in the brain, this and that, whatever. But these doctors have investigated, one is Dr. Kenneth Ring, a researcher, and then they concluded that it looks like that we don't die after all, we're beyond the body. After having a near-death experience, people believe the end of life does not exist. They believe in some sort of life after death. Death vanishes for them as only life, so they realize they're separate from the body. And then, of course, because they do come back to life, they get back in the body, and then they wake up again. But they realize, I was out of my body, I'm completely separate from my body. So based on all these different experiences, and the doctors also concluded, it's probably true. We're not the body. We're separate from the body, and we go from body to body. Because in the near-death experience, we almost get separated, but then we come back. So this is some sort of proof also gained through testimony. So another doctor who investigates was Raymond Moody, who wrote a book called Life After Life. From my near-death research and my personal experiences, death is, in my judgment, simply a transition into another kind of reality. So, we don't die. That's his conclusion. In chapter 15 of Bhagavad Gita, there's this interesting statement. Whenever the soul accepts or leaves the body, he takes these senses with him in the subtle body, just as air takes fragrances from oxygen and goes elsewhere. So when the Atma leaves the body, he takes the senses with him to the next body. So this will explain why when you get out of your body and your brain's not working, etc., you can see. You can see the doctors trying to revive you with the operation. You can see the ambulance come on because you have your other senses. Not these senses, they're dead. But you have another set of senses that goes with you in the subtle body. Yeah? So, we have several bodies. We have the gross body, which is born and dies. We have that subtle body, which is stuck to this body. But when we die, it goes out with the subtle senses. And it contains your mind and your karma, etc. And then we have the soul, which also goes with the subtle body. So we have the 3 levels. Yeah? So that subtle body, or the Sukshma Sarira, is not known to modern science at the present time, but it is very well discussed in the Vedic literatures in Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita and yoga works, etc. That subtle body is very important for us. We can't survive without it. It contains your mind, your intelligence, your ahankara, your desires, your memories from past lifetime, your karmas, and even your physical features. Yeah? So, we have experiences in this lifetime, and many of those experiences get recorded in your subtle body, like on a computer, in your hard disk. Keep safe things in your hard disk. So in your subtle body, all your experiences of this lifetime get stuck in there. Plus your previous lifetime experiences also. So it's got a big hard disk of many, many lifetimes. So it's got all your memories of many, many lifetimes stuck in. And when you die, this body stays. The hard disk goes separately. And then it gets stuck into the new body. But you can't access it in the new body. It's all there, but you can't really access it. So the subtle body contains all those past memories, etc. It's stuck in your new body. You can't really access it, but it still influences your present body. So that will explain why people have, let's say, some phobia. They don't like water. Maybe past life, they drown. So they have a fear of water. So that continues into this lifetime, and they can't stand water in this lifetime. So this is one thing that goes with that subtle body. Another is the transfer of features. So we saw that the injury and death affected the gross body. It also got into the subtle body. that subtle body carried over those impressions of the wound or the missing leg or the missing fingers in the subtle body, and then it impressed it onto the gross body in the next lifetime. Or Bharat Maharaj, remember the deer that got impressed in his mind, that formed his next body through the subtle body. So your great attachments, that's going to stick in your subtle body, and that's going to affect your next body. So you think what you are in this lifetime, that becomes what you are in the next lifetime. We have an interesting example of that, two examples. On the one side here, the right side, in 1995, this is an American firefighter who fights fires, that called Jeffrey King. So through some far-out accident, whatever, he picked up a book one day and he looked inside and he saw these pictures of 100 years before in the Civil War of America. There was a general there that looked like him. This 1860 Gordon general, it looked very much like him. So he got very curious, how is that? He looked so much like him. And then he investigated the life of that General Gordon and experience. And he saw that his life pattern was very similar. When the general had to go to the hospital because of some problem, this Jeffrey King also went to the hospital. Look at the writing styles, similar writing styles were also there. So many features of their life were the same. The writing style was the same. You can even start remembering some of the incidents from 100 years ago. And then moreover, the faces were so similar. How is that possible? Because they're not related at all. They're completely different families. So that's transferred through the subtle body. Interestingly enough, Jeffrey King had a friend in the fire department, this Wayne Saletta. And then he also looked like someone from the 1860s, the friend of the other general. They also looked like two of them. They also came as generals, now they came as firefighters together, and they both have this similar features from 100 years ago. So it's very interesting that the features that pop up again, even though they're not genetically related to family at all. But it's very similar. So physical appearance, same, personality traits, same, writing styles the same, they came as a group, karma, they have past life memories. So all of this transferred through the subtle body. So that subtle body is like a big computer and holds everything, influences present lifetime in that way. Even more important is the fact that that subtle body holds your karma. So when you do activities in this lifetime, if you do a very selfish act which is violent, when you harm somebody, then you have to get harm on yourself, suffering on yourself as a result. Where is that held? That result is held in the subtle body. You may not see how it's being recorded, but it's recorded there. Of course, Yamaraj is there also to do the recording. But it's held in your subtle body. And so you cannot escape. And then when you get the body, the karma is stuck there, it will come out and it will hit you. So you won't get the pain. So if you punch somebody, you get an injury back. Okay? So all this is operating through your sukshma sarir, your subtle body. Okay? So that is why in Manu Samhita, Smriti Shastra, Manu Smriti, they give the definition of meat. In Sanskrit is mamsa, that's in Kannada also, mamsa. So then Manu explains, it's called mamsa because it's made of two words, maham, which means me, and sa, which means he in Sanskrit, me and he. So I kill the animal now, and he kills me. That's what it means. So I can afflict him in one lifetime, then I will get that punishment back on me in the future lifetime. So mamsa means get back. That's what it means. So that's a Manu's definition of meat. So if we actually can realize that we're not the body, we're the soul, then we will get some peace. And this is described in chapter 5 of Bhagavad Gita. He whose happiness is within, whose enjoyment is within, and whose sight is within is a yogi and against liberation in the mind. So we can solve the problems of suffering in this world. Unfortunately, it's difficult to realize the Atma because the senses, the mind, intelligence, and ignorance, our ego, they're all pushing us in the opposite direction. They're covering up the Atma and the soul, and they're leading us into bodily identification, etc. As we see in Bhagavad Gita, the description or the painting here of the soul in the chariot with the driver, and then the wild horses, which are the senses. So the senses are pushing you one way, and the Atma is sitting there being helpless. Because the senses, the mind, and intelligence, the body are going all over the place. So as described in Bhagavad Gita, for a person who meditates on sense objects, attachment arises. From attachment arises desire. From desire arises anger. From anger arises bewilderment. From bewilderment comes loss of memory. From loss of memory comes loss of intelligence. From loss of intelligence, one is destroyed. So because of our attraction to the objects of the senses, we have desires, etc., then we will do activities. These activities may be sinful activities. Because of that, we get karma. Because of that, we get a lower body. We sink down. So this is a continual process where the senses are acting on us all day long. And they're recording things in our mind. We develop new desires, we do new actions, we get impressions, bad, or all under the load of ignorance. So we get pushed into more and more karma, more and more suffering, life after life. And we go, we get now mind full of desires, greed, anger, action, impressions, etc. It goes on all day long, every day of your life. Every day of life, the cycle is going on, we do new acts, we do making new karmas. So, you get pushed into another body. You're born, you live, you do activities, you get karma, you die. You get born according to your karma, you do more activities, you live, you die again. You get born again, you do karma, then you start activities again. Like this. So, endless cycles. This is what we call samsara. Nicely described here in this painting here. The circle means it goes on forever. You cannot stop the process of birth and death. It is a wheel of karma, the wheel of birth and death. So here, the big monster at the top is this time, Kala, or Yamaraj. And the wheel is the cycle of birth and death. In this particular diagram, we've got 6 sections here. So you can be a human being, if you're lucky. If you're luckier, you can go to heaven, you become a devata. If you're not so lucky, you become a demon. If you're less fortunate, you can become an animal. And if you're more unfortunate, you can go to hell or become a ghost like this. So the Buddhists describe these 6 possibilities. More possibilities, of course, but these are 6 possibilities, some of which are neutral, some of which are very bad, some of which are medium bad, and one of which is good, that's the heavenly one. But this, due to your karma, you can go through all this. So difficult for the human being to change the karma. It's difficult to change your mind, difficult to change your habits. When you've got all of the previous karma stuck in your heart, despair, affecting you, the impressions, and then you've got the impressions of this lifetime stuck in you also, making you do things like that. So very, very difficult to change anything. But it is possible. The human being has a possibility of using his free will to change his destiny. And that's the whole purpose of Scripture, to help us make proper choices. Of course, we don't have to choose, but then we don't have to listen to Scripture. But if we are intelligent, then we will choose. Huh? So, if we're in Tamagun, it's very difficult to choose because we're really covered over by ignorance. We don't want to choose. Just act according to our whim, whatever we feel like. Finish. And this is disastrous because the multitude of violent activities and we will suffer more and more. Generally, we degrade ourselves. Right? Rajagun, he may be a very intelligent person, but very, very passionate, likes to do activities. Again, he's very rash. So again, he simply continues birth after birth like that. The sattvic person is the best. He is more detached from material enjoyment. He can understand I'm not the body. He will listen to scripture. So this is the person who gets the opportunity to get out of the cycle of birth and death. Yeah. So we have a system called the Varnashram system in Karma Yoga. And if you follow the rules of Karma Yoga, gradually you can elevate yourself from Sudra to Vaishya to Kshatriya to Brahma, from Tamagun to Rajagun to Sattvagun, by following those rules and regulations. When the Sattvagun, then you can start getting out of the material world. So that's the Karma Yoga recommended in chapter 3 of Bhagavad Gita. Gradual elevation. Once you get to Sattvagun, then you can practice Jnana Yoga. You can understand I'm not the body, I'm the soul. And you can listen to scripture. You can read Brahma Sutras and Upanishads and understand your aha. Or, if you want something more active, you can do Ashtanga Yoga and control your mind through pranayama and jhana, etc. And you separate Atma from Sarvabhami and Goswami, if possible. Of course, these two processes, Jnana Yoga, Ashtanga Yoga, are a little bit difficult to follow in this age. So, the last process that Krishna recommends in Bhagavad Gita is Bhakti Yoga. So this is the easy process of getting beyond birth and death and all these problems we have in our life. It's not based upon renunciation and control of the senses. It's based upon engaging the senses in devotional activities to Krishna. We hear and chant through devotional service. So it's an easier process. The other processes are in the gunas, Tamagun and Rajagun. That's our Karma Yoga. We do better Karma Yoga, Nishkarma Karma Yoga, we get to Sattva. When we get Sattva, we do Jnana Yoga, Sangha Yoga. But that's all the gunas. Bhakti Yoga is Nirguna. It is the spiritual energy of Krishna. It's beyond the material world. So it's a completely different process. Not from the material world, not generated from it at all. Generated from Krishna. So it's much more powerful. So though our senses are going in the opposite direction of ignorance, difficult to control, difficult to realize Atma, we take the same senses, mind, intelligence, etc., and focus on Krishna, then we can get the realization of the soul, but more than that, we can realize Krishna. So this is the recommended process of the Bhagavad Gita. We can spiritualize our body, so to speak. So you can use your ear for hearing Krishna's name. You can use your eye to see the deity of Jagannath. Use your tongue to do kirtan. You can use your nose to smell the incense and flowers offered with the Lord. And you can use your tongue for tasting, for shouting. You can use your body for dancing. You can use your mind for meditation and japa. So all those processes, the Yuga Dharma, the most powerful process of bhakti is Nam Sankirtan, particularly Krishna's name. Okay? So this is the easiest way that you can get beyond birth and death. Okay? So this, of course, is stated in Bhagavad Gita, so I hope you read Bhagavad Gita, where you get all the conclusions nicely stated there. So at the end of Bhagavad Gita, after explaining Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Sangha Yoga, then he talks about Bhakti Yoga, and he says, abandon all the varieties of religion and surrender to me. I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. So therefore, just by doing Bhakti Yoga, this solves all of our problems. Why? Because it's the spiritual process. And why? Because it's coming from Krishna himself. Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Sangha is not coming from Krishna, it's coming from the gunas. It's the only process that comes from Supreme Lord himself. So we've got the power of Krishna behind us. So therefore, at the end of Bhagavad Gita, it says, where there's Krishna, the master of yoga, where there's Arjuna, the holder of the bow, there will be eternal prosperity, victory, ever-increasing wealth, and righteousness. You get everything through the process of bhakti and the chanting of the holy name. So if we want to pass birth and death, that's the process. Chant the name of Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Okay, 2 questions. 1, 2. Louder, please. Mic is there.
In one of the slides, you spoke about phobia. Phobia.
Phobias, oh, yeah.
And we saw one boy drowning.
Yeah.
And usually, if you see large water bodies like in ocean or sea, we also get scared, even of higher altitudes. Does it mean we also were drowned in our past life?
Well, it may not mean you drown, but you may have a bad experience with water in a previous lifetime, and therefore you also have fear of like water. It could be fire, it could be car accident, afraid of cars, of traveling, maybe afraid of traveling. Some people are afraid of airplanes, they cannot get an airplane. So previous lifetime they had some problem with airplanes. Some people are afraid of heights, maybe they fell off a cliff in the previous lifetime or something. So it could be from this lifetime also. Yeah. So in your infancy also you have some experience which is not so good, that can also influence you this lifetime. So maybe when you were a child, your mother or somebody, some friend threw you in the water or something. So now you're afraid of water when you're an adult, you don't even remember the incident. It could be from this lifetime, previous lifetime. It could be not from last lifetime, it could be from 20 lifetimes ago. There's an experience of one woman, American woman, and then she could not stand closed windows. Close the window, she had to open it up. She couldn't stand closed windows. So eventually she went to the doctor and psychiatrist, hypnotized her and this, and then she finally went back for 3,000 years. And she was in Egypt. And she remembered in Egypt, she was a priestess in a temple. And then she got sick. And everyone else got sick, they got such a sickness. So they took all these people who were sick, and they took them into the mountains, and they put them in a cave, and they sealed they put a big rock over the cave. And then she remembers her last moments. They were sealing up the cave, and gradually the darker get shut. And then finally, she said, I can't breathe anymore, because all the oxygen was leaked out. And then she started breathing all out. So 3,000 years ago, she got experience of getting closed out of the cave. So that was 3,000 years later, manifested as a nurse where she couldn't stand closed doors, windows, etc. So something could pop up many thousands of years later. We don't know.
Thanks, one question. Under one of the slides, it says that body is born, the soul is not born. So technically we understand soul is eternal. It never takes birth or never dies. And body is always dead. So then what actually is, how can we say body is born? What exactly is the meaning?
Where is body gone?
Why body? How can we say body is born? Because body is always dead, soul is always eternal. Then who is actually taking birth?
Well, the body is gone in the sense your mother dies, your father dies, your grandfather dies, and when you burn them. You burn them?
Body is born, not born.
Yeah.
It is said body is born,
Yeah.
but body is actually it is always dead.
Oh, yeah. So actually, birth and death meaning means the soul goes into a body. That's all. It's not that the body is born. Of course, the body comes out of the womb, so in that sense it's born. But it's all matter. It's all matter. And it has no life in itself. So birth and death means that the soul goes into a body. That's called birth. And the soul goes into a body. That's death.
Maharaj, is it the strong impression of the subtle body that creates these memories in the next life, or it's also consciousness carried forward?
Consciousness carried forward. Well, that
To the next life.
Yeah. Well, obviously there's two things that work. We have the soul with its consciousness, and we have the mind, which has no consciousness in itself. So it has to use the soul. It's like a computer, a hard disk that it can't do anything on its own. But nevertheless, it's storing all that information. So the subtle body, the mind, is the convenient mechanism for storing all that information for us. That's all. For the obviously opposite, for everything to be has to suffer the results of the karma.
Hare Krishna. So we are winding off here. Next Maharaj is coming. So anyone want to have Harinam Chintamani, Madhurya Kalamani and Resurrected Chintamani, very beautiful book, who want to live in Vrindavan mentally. So it's a set of 6 books just for 500. Whoever want, they can come and get it from Maharaj. Just 10 sets available. Whoever wants, they can come and get and then pay the money later. Give your name and number in the bookstore. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, let us all thank His Holiness Manaswami Maharaj, please, by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Thank you, Maharaj, for your wonderful association.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna. As Guru Maharaj comes upon the stage and we prepare for our Bhakti Shastri graduation ceremony, we would like to walk you all through the Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vedanta Institute of Higher Education. So if you all can please sit down and have a moment of just minute silence. So Bhakti Vedanta Institute of Higher Education is dedicated to His Divine Grace A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada.
प्रभु अभी आप उठाना है ये टेंपल क्या है क्या हाँ ये टेंपल
After the graduation ceremony. So before we start the graduation ceremony, we would just like to walk you through the small roads we have gone through in this Bhakti Vedanta Institute of Higher Education, BIHE. This is dedicated to His Divine Grace Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada always said that everyone should sit for examination once a year at Mayapur. Bhakti Shastri, Bhakti Vaibhav, Bhakti Vedanta and Bhakti Sarvabhauma. All are Brahmanas and anyone wanting to become Brahmana will have to sit for exam once a year at Mayapur. They'll be expected to know Bhagavad Gita and read letter of instruction, Ishopanishad, a book soon to be published on beauty worship, as well as the small paperbacks. If they pass the examination, they will be awarded Bhakti Shastri certificate. Sannyasis will be asked to sit for Bhakti Vaibhav examination, which will include the first 6 cantos of Bhagavatam. And our Guru Maharaj, His Honor Jagadish Swami Guru Maharaj, is actually showing it by practically following it. He is doing his Bhakti Vaibhav now. Can we please go with Haribol? So this is something his Guru Maharaj said, and I am deeply impressed and inspired with the quality of learning experiences that many devotees have undergone in taking either the Mayapur Institute Bhakti Shastri or Bhakti Vaibhav courses. Some devotees have described their experiences to me in these courses as the most ecstatic, meaningful, and wonderful experiences of their devotional careers. So naturally, they also become much more expert at giving classes and teaching. So Guru Maharaj has been stressing on this, and so all of us have been trying to do that, and we made this small journey as we started up. So, as you all know, Bhakti Shastri is a systematic study of Srila Prabhupada's books, which we saw that as what Srila Prabhupada said. So, this is our timeline. 2018, Mayapur Institute sent some teachers to iskconSeshadripuram with Vidwan Gauranga Prabhu and Narsingatirtha Prabhu for our first batch. 2019, we are very grateful to Mayapur Institute who helped us, and Bhaktivedanta Institute of Higher Education started. And our local teachers, we started the English batches with our local teachers. 2020, online Bhakti Shastri starts. 2021, Kannada Bhakti Shastri starts. And we also started Bhakti Vaibhav. In fact, amidst us, we have one of our Bhakti Vaibhav teachers, his Grace Harilila Prabhu. Can we please welcome him one time? Hare Krishna, please. Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. In the year 2022, we have started the third batch of Bhakti Shastri, third language, with Hindi as well. So this is how the students are graduating. In 2018, we had 5 students, 2019, 39 students, and today, with the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev, we have 44 students graduating. So, the details of the 2020-21 batch, who are graduating today, we started the next batch in which we have 22 students from ISKCON Mangalore also. So, we have a total of 44 devotees. 7 are from Kannada batch and 37 from English batch. We are very grateful to all our teachers who have taken up this wonderful service. They are seated here. These are our Acharya Mandali who are sitting here. So we are very grateful to all of them. Specifically, we also had some of them who joined us online, and some of them who came out here. Like His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami Maharaj, Mahatma Prabhu, Sarvabhauma Prabhu. They all actually came and took one unit for us. Sachitulal Prabhu, our in-house teacher, Narayanpadana Prabhu, Anandvala Prabhu. Of course, Arunodaya Kirtan Prabhu, who started it up. Ananda Prabhu, Raji Krishna Prabhu, Atul Krishna Prabhu, Ram Bhadriti Prabhu, and Gaurangati Prabhu. All of these are our teachers who teach Bhakti Shastri. Can we give them a big Haribol, please? We are also very thankful to Nandapriya Padmadevijasi. Mataji has helped us with all the administrative aspects. We are also grateful to two of the students, Lakshmi Mataji and Srinivasan Prabhu. They are somewhere here in the audience, who also help us with administration. We also conduct IDC courses in English, Hindi, Bengali, and Kannada. We have also conducted seminars on deity worship, Japa seminar, description of cosmic creation based on Srimad Bhagavatam, Vaishnav Sarachar. We are especially thankful to Mangal Nityanand Prabhu, who takes the IDC courses in Kannada. Among Bhakti Vaibhav, we are currently running the Bhakti Vaibhav course and are in the third canto with close to 20 devotees. This week we didn't have class because our teacher Harilila Prabhu is here. So he gave us a break. So our teachers for Bhakti Vaibhav have been His Holiness Bhakti Vigna Vinashana Srila Swami Maharaj, of course Harilila Prabhu, and our very dear Raja Krishna Prabhu. Of course, none of this would have been possible without the support from iskconSeshadripuram. We are very grateful to the management, our temple president, His Vasanapur Keshav Prabhu. And we'd like to seek the blessings of Guru and Gauranga and all Vaishnavas so we may continue our services and keep improving in our humble efforts. Thank you. Hare Krishna. So, the next part of the program will be His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj will be giving a small talk. And after that, we'll start first, we'll felicitate the teachers and then the certificates will be given. Post that, Guru Maharaj will be giving a class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We are very grateful to His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj to bless us all with his association. I am very, very honored and very lucky to get this opportunity to glorify Guru Maharaj. His Holiness Jayapataka Swami Guru Maharaj was born in Milwaukee, in USA. He joined ISKCON San Francisco Center on the Yatra Day. He received initiation from Srila Prabhupada in 1968. In 1970, Srila Prabhupada sent him to India, where he served as the president of ISKCON Kolkata Center. And about a year and a half later, Srila Prabhupada sent him to Mayapur, where he received his sannyas initiation. At the time of his departure from this mortal world in 1977, Srila Prabhupada requested Jayapataka Swami Maharaj to take up the responsibility of being an initiating spiritual master and to act as one of ISKCON's governing body commission. Since then, Guru Maharaj has been executing these responsibilities. Guru Maharaj continues to contribute to Mayapur's development as the international headquarters of ISKCON by serving as a co-director. His service in Mayapur includes Mayapur Development Committee member, exhibits and theme park development head of TOVP, and promotion of Shri Mayapur worldwide. He is currently a GBC representative, zonal secretary and co-secretary for Comoros, Seychelles, Jordan, Yemen, the state of Odisha and Puri, Assam, Andaman and Nicobar, Bhutan, the state of West Bengal, Meghalaya, Tripura, Kerala, the state of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Bangalore, Lakshadweep, Maldives, Pondicherry, Sri Lanka, Bahrain, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Singapore, Thailand, Bolivia, Peru, Bangladesh, Bihar, Jharkhand, Nepal, Sikkim, Brunei, Malaysia, Belgium, Ecuador, Chile, and he is also a member of ISKCON India Bureau. Guru Maharaj serves on the GBC Committee's organizational development, devotee care, outreach, Mayapur festivals, deity worship, and Puri Development Committee. Let us all welcome Guru Maharaj by loudly chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna Padaya Krishna Krishnaya Pangum Gangayate Giri
Yatri Bhatavahan Bande
Shri Guru Dinakarina
Maranandamahava
Shri Chaitanya Ishvara
Hariyo Tatsat in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Vajra Lila.
இந்த चैतन्य चरितामृत मध्य लीला
चरितामृत की मध्य लीला में
The Bhagavad Shalala said,
in the purport Srila Prabhupada said
तात्पर्य में श्रील प्रभुपाद कहते हैं
those who are associated with the Krishna conscious movement
that those who are associated with the Krishna consciousness movement
वे जो कृष्ण भावनामृत आंदोलन से जुड़े हुए हैं
should read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
should read Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
उन्हें भगवद गीता श्रीमद् भागवतम तथा चैतन्य चरितामृत को पढ़ना चाहिए
Also for the Bhakti Shastri, the factor of devotion, factor of instruction, etc. These books are also studied.
Also for the Bhakti Shastri, nectar of devotion, nectar of instruction, etc. Ishwapanishad books need to be studied.
और इसी तरह भक्ति रसामृत सिंधु उपदेशामृत तथा ईशोपनिषद जैसे ग्रंथ भी पढ़े जाने चाहिए
Bhagavad wanted all the books to be studied by the devotees.
Prabhupada wanted his books to be studied by the devotees.
प्रभुपाद चाहते थे कि सभी भक्त उनके द्वारा लिखी हुई पुस्तकों को पढ़ें
So, all of you have read all of Bhagavad books.
How many of you have read all of Srila Prabhupada books?
आप में से कितने भक्तों ने श्रील प्रभुपाद द्वारा लिखित सभी पुस्तकों को पढ़ा है
So,
There should be a goal to read all the books.
तो ये उद्देश्य होना चाहिए कि सभी पुस्तकें श्रील प्रभुपाद की पढ़ी जाएं ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರ ಎಲ್ಲ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಓದೋ ಒಂದು ಧ್ಯೇಯವನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೋಬೇಕು
I'm very glad that this Seshadripuram Mandir is becoming a learning center.
So by and large, this iskconSeshadripuram is becoming a learning center.
तो मोटे मोटे तौर पर ये शेषाद्रिपुरम का जो मंदिर है इस्कॉन का ये एक शिक्षा का केंद्र बन रहा है ಹೆಚ್ಚು ಕಡಿಮೆ ಈ ಒಂದು ಇಸ್ಕಾನ್ ಶೇಷಾದ್ರಿಪುರಂ ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನ ಒಂದು ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಒಂದು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಸಂಸ್ಥೆ ಆಗ್ತಾ ಇದೆ
And also, so Bhagavan said, GBC members should encourage that all the devotees in their zone read Srila books.
And also Srila Prabhupada told the GBCs to encourage all the devotees to read Srila Prabhupada's books.
तो श्रील प्रभुपाद ने जीबीसी के सभी सदस्यों को भी कहा था कि वे अपने अपने क्षेत्र में सभी भक्तों को प्रोत्साहित करें ये प्रभुपाद की पुस्तकें पढ़ने हेतु ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಓದಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಶ್ರೀಲ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರು ತಮ್ಮ ಜಿಬಿಸಿ ಸದಸ್ಯರಿಗೆ ಪ್ರೋತ್ಸಾಹ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು ಅವರವರ ಕ್ಷೇತ್ರದಲ್ಲಿ ಎಲ್ಲರನ್ನೂ ಉತ್ಸುಕರಾಗಿ ಮಾಡಿ ಅವರು ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಓದಬೇಕು ಅಂತ
As you know, Prabhupada gave second initiation of Brahman initiation.
As you know, Srila Prabhupada gave second initiation or Brahman initiation.
जैसा कि आप जानते हैं श्रील प्रभुपाद दूसरी दीक्षा या ब्राह्मण दीक्षा जो देते थे श्रील प्रभुपाद ಎರಡನೇ ದೀಕ್ಷಾ ಅಥವಾ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣ ದೀಕ್ಷಾ ಅನ್ನೋದನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು
To call Vaishnavas who are born in any caste.
Called as Vaishnavas who are born in any caste.
क्योंकि वैष्णव होने के नाते हम किसी भी जाति में हमारा जन्म क्यों न हुआ हो वैष्णव ಅಂತ ಕರೆಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋಕೆ ನಾವು ಯಾವುದೇ ಒಂದು ಜಾತಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಹುಟ್ಟಿರಬಹುದು
But he also said that he got complaints that those who receive second initiation are not sufficiently knowledgeable.
But he also said that he received complaints that even those who received second initiation were not sufficiently knowledgeable.
किंतु उन्होंने यह भी कहा कि जिन्हें ब्राह्मण दीक्षा प्राप्त हो जाती है वे पर्याप्त मात्रा में ज्ञान अर्जित नहीं कर रहे हैं।
ಆದರೆ ಎರಡನೇ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡವರು ಕೂಡ ಸರಿಯಾದ ಜ್ಞಾನವನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡಿಲ್ಲ ಅಂತ ಅವರು ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು.
So, he wrote a letter to all the GBC that from now on, anyone who wants second initiation should have Bhakti Shastri.
So he wrote a letter to all the GBCs. From now on, anyone who wants second initiation must have Bhakti Shastri.
तो इसलिए फिर उन्होंने जीबीसी को एक पत्र लिखा कि अब के बाद जो भी ब्राह्मण दीक्षा प्राप्त करना चाहते हैं उन्हें भक्ति शास्त्री को पास करना होगा।
ಅದಕ್ಕೆ ಅವರು GBCಗೆ ಒಂದು ಪತ್ರವನ್ನು ಬರೀತಾರೆ. ಯಾರು ಇನ್ನು ಮುಂದೆ ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣ ದೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇದ್ರು ಅವರು ಭಕ್ತಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾಗಿರಬೇಕು.
Very glad that this temple has instituted Bhakti Shastri exams and studying degrees.
I'm very glad that this temple has instituted Bhakti Shastri exams, studies and degrees.
मैं बहुत प्रसन्न हूँ कि इस मंदिर ने स्थापना की है कि यहाँ भक्ति शास्त्री को पढ़ाया सिखाया जा सके।
ಈ ಒಂದು ದೇವಸ್ಥಾನದಲ್ಲಿ ಭಕ್ತಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೀಯ ಒಂದು ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಕಲಿಸಲು ಎಲ್ಲ ನಡೀತಾ ಇರೋದು ನನಗೆ ಬಹಳ ಸಂತೋಷವನ್ನು ಕೊಡ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
Hari Bol. So, also Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Vedanta.
So also Bhakti Vaibhav and Bhakti Vedanta.
भक्ति वैभव और भक्ति वेदांत प्रशिक्षण भी
ಮತ್ತೆ ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೈಭವ ಮತ್ತು ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೇದಾಂತದ ಒಂದು ಶಿಕ್ಷಣವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾರೆ.
Ministry of Education to promote the reading of so-called major books has given some fast-track ways to get degrees.
Ministry of Education to cater to the reading of Srila Prabhupada books has given us fast-track ways to study Srila Prabhupada books.
शिक्षा मंत्रालय ने श्रील प्रभुपाद की पुस्तकों को हम अच्छे से पढ़ सके इस हेतु कुछ सुविधाएं भी उपलब्ध कराई हैं तीव्रता से प्रभुपाद की पुस्तकों को पढ़ने हेतु।
ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಮಂತ್ರಾಲಯ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರ ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಬಹಳ ಬೇಗ ಓದಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ಒಂದು ಹಲವಾರು ವಿಧಾನಗಳನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Teach and get a degree.
We can teach and get a degree.
हम पढ़ा सकते हैं और डिग्री भी प्राप्त कर सकते हैं।
ನಾವು ಕಲಿಸಬಹುದು ಮತ್ತೆ ಡಿಗ್ರಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೋಬಹುದು.
Managers who don't have that much time to go and study.
Managers who don't have the time to go on studying.
जो भी प्रबंधक हैं जिनके पास समय नहीं है अब पढ़ने के लिए
ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಸ್ ಆಗಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಓದೋದಕ್ಕೆ ಸಮಯ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋರ್ನ ಇಲ್ಲದೆ ಇರೋರಿಗೆ
Read the books many times.
One who has read the books many times.
तो जिन्होंने पुस्तकों को अनेकों बार पढ़ लिया है
ಆದರೆ ಅವರು ಪುಸ್ತಕಗಳನ್ನು ಹಲವಾರು ಬಾರಿ ಓದಿರ್ತಾರೆ.
Test, one-time test that they can take.
They have developed tests like one-time tests which they can take.
तो उन्होंने ऐसी परीक्षाओं का आयोजन किया है कि उन प्रबंधकों को केवल एक ही बार उस परीक्षा में उपस्थित होना है।
ಅಂತಹ ಮ್ಯಾನೇಜರ್ಸ್ ಒಂದೇ ಸತಿ ಒಂದು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಅವರು ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾಗಬಹುದು ಅಂತ ವ್ಯವಸ್ಥೆಯನ್ನು ಮಾಡಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Twelve people have sore but did not have a degree.
There were 12 people who did not have their degrees.
No sore.
ऐसे 12 व्यक्ति थे जिनको उनकी डिग्री प्राप्त नहीं हुई थी।
ಹೊಸೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ
ಹೊಸೂರಿನಲ್ಲಿ 12 ಜನ ಭಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ಈ ರೀತಿ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಪ್ರಾಪ್ತ ಆಗಲಿಲ್ಲ ಅವರಿಗೆ.
But they wanted to take second initiation.
किंतु वे ब्राह्मण दीक्षा लेना चाहते थे।
ಆದರೆ ಅವರು ಬ್ರಾಹ್ಮಣ ದೀಕ್ಷೆ ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಇತ್ತು.
So I had them take a test. Those who are 18 years in Krishna consciousness, they took a one-time test and some passed.
So I had them take the test. So those who were 18 years in Krishna consciousness, I had them to take the test, and some of them passed.
7.
7 of them passed.
तो मैंने फिर उन सभी भक्तों को कहा कि अब आप एक बार वाला ये परीक्षा का पेपर दीजिए और उसके लिए मानदंड ये था कि कम से कम 18 वर्ष उन्होंने कृष्ण भावनामृत में व्यतीत किए हों और 12 में से 7 भक्त उत्तीर्ण हो गए।
18 ವರ್ಷಗಳ ಕಾಲ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರೇಮೆಗಿಂತ ಇದ್ದಂತಹ ಭಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ಸತಿಯ ಈ ಒಂದು ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟರು ಮಹಾರಾಜರು, ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 7 ಜನ ಭಕ್ತರು ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾದರು.
So we hope that everybody will study Bhakti Shastra.
So we hope that everybody would study Bhakti Shastri.
तो हम आशा करते हैं कि सभी लोग भक्ति शास्त्री का अध्ययन करेंगे.
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಭಕ್ತಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರೀಯ ಅಧ್ಯಯನ ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಆಶಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ.
It's actually nectar.
So it's actually nectar.
वास्तव में तो यह अमृत है.
ನಿಜವಾಗಿ ಅದು ಅಮೃತ.
Hearing Krishna Katha, Krishna is speaking.
Hearing Krishna Katha, Krishna is speaking.
आप कृष्ण कथा सुनते हैं, कृष्ण बोल रहे हैं.
ಕೃಷ್ಣನ ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ಆಲಿಸ್ತಿದ್ದೀವಿ, ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಾತಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾನೆ.
They showed one drama in Chennai.
So they showed one drama in Chennai.
उन्होंने चेन्नई में एक ड्रामा दिखाया था.
ಚೆನ್ನೈನಲ್ಲಿ ಒಂದು ಡ್ರಾಮಾ ಮಾಡಿದ್ರು
By the children.
बच्चों के द्वारा.
ಮಕ್ಕಳು.
And two children were playing the part of Yamadutas.
And 2 of the children were playing the part of Yamadutas.
उनमें से 2 बच्चे यमदूतों की भूमिका निभा रहे थे.
ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ ಇಬ್ಬರು ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಯಮದೂತರ ಪಾತ್ರವನ್ನು ವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು.
And one girl stands on, and she played the part of Yamaraj.
And one had a mustache and played the part of Yamaraj.
और एक के मूछें लगी हुई थी और वह यमराज की भूमिका निभा रहा था.
ಅವರಿಬ್ಬರಲ್ಲಿ ಒಬ್ಬರು ಮೀಸೆ ಇದ್ದು ಅವರು ಯಮರಾಜನ ಒಂದು ಪಾತ್ರವನ್ನು ವಹಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ರು.
Yamadutas were complaining to Yamaraj.
And the Yamadutas were complaining to Yamaraj.
और यमदूत यमराज के समक्ष शिकायत लेकर गए थे.
ಯಮದೂತರು ಯಮರಾಜನ ಎದುರಿಗೆ ಒಂದು ದೂರನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡು ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ.
Our job is to take people to hell and have them tortured.
Our job is to take people to hell and have them tortured.
हमारी नौकरी या व्यवसाय है कि हम लोगों को नरक में लेके जाएं और उनको तकलीफ दें.
ನಮ್ಮ ಕೆಲಸ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಎಲ್ಲ ಪಾಪಿಗಳನ್ನ ನರಕಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಿ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನ ಕೊಡಬೇಕು.
But now these Krishna conscious devotees are having Gita and Bhagavatam in their house.
But now these Krishna consciousness devotees are having Gita and Bhagavatam in their house.
अब ये कृष्ण भावना भाविक भक्त जो हैं इनके घर में भगवत गीता और श्रीमद् भागवतम है.
ಈ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾವಂತ ಭಕ್ತರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಈಗ ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತಾ ಮತ್ತೆ ಭಾಗವತಗಳಿವೆ.
They are chanting Hare Krishna.
They are chanting Hare Krishna.
वे हरे कृष्ण का जप कर रहे हैं.
ಅವರು ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಮಂತ್ರವನ್ನು ಜಪ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
They have deities in their house.
They have deities in their house.
उनके घर में श्री विग्रह है.
ಅವ್ರ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಶ್ರೀ ವಿಗ್ರಹ ಇದೆ.
Food offering to the deities, taking prasadam.
They are cooking food and offering to the deities, taking prasadam.
वे जो खाना पका रहे हैं वे श्री विग्रह को अर्पित कर रहे हैं और इस तरह प्रसाद पा रहे हैं.
ಅವರು ಭೋಗವನ್ನು ಅರ್ಪಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ, ಪ್ರಸಾದವನ್ನು ಸ್ವೀಕಾರ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದಾರೆ.
If we go like this, we can't touch them. We can't take them to hell. We can't torture them.
If we go like this, then we can't touch them. We can't take them to hell.
अगर ये ऐसे ही करते रहे तो हम उन्हें नरक में नहीं ले जा सकते, हम उन्हें सजा नहीं दे सकते.
ಅವ್ರು ಇದನ್ನೇ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಅವರನ್ನು ನರಕಕ್ಕೆ ಕರ್ಕೊಂಡು ಹೋಗಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ, ಅವ್ರಿಗೆ ಶಿಕ್ಷೆ ಕೊಡಕ್ಕಾಗಲ್ಲ.
Like long preaching like this, we need a new job.
If we go on preaching like this, we'll need a good new job.
अगर ये ऐसे ही प्रचार करते रहे तो हमारे लिए कोई नई नौकरी देख लीजिए.
ಅವ್ರು ಇದೇ ರೀತಿ ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮುಂದುವರಿಸಿದ್ರೆ ನಾವು ಹೊಸ ಕೆಲಸವನ್ನು ಹುಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕಾಗುತ್ತೆ.
Very nice drama.
Very nice drama.
बहुत अच्छा ड्रामा था.
ಅದ್ಭುತವಾದ ಡ್ರಾಮಾ.
You all be free of the Yamaduta fear.
So we want all of you to be freed from the Yamaduta fear.
तो हम चाहते हैं कि आप सब यमदूतों के भय से मुक्त हो जाएं.
ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಯಮದೂತರ ಭಯದಿಂದ ಮುಕ್ತರಾಗಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನಮ್ಮ ಆಸೆ.
So today we have some devotees who have graduated of Bhakti Shastra.
So anyway, today we have some devotees who have graduated from Bhakti Shastri.
तो आज हमारे समक्ष कुछ भक्त हैं जिन्होंने भक्ति शास्त्री परीक्षा उत्तीर्ण कर ली है।
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ನಮ್ಮ ನಡುವೆ ಕೆಲವು ಭಕ್ತರು ಈ ಭಕ್ತಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾಗಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
Certificates are ready.
Certificates are ready.
तो सर्टिफिकेट्स तैयार हैं।
ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ಸ್ ಎಲ್ಲ ತಯಾರಾಗಿದೆ.
For degrees, Bhakti Shastra. Wow. International Scientific Analysis. China has the language. 80 languages for examinations.
The degree Bhakti Shastri, founder Acharya Jivanandri Sesi Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Board of Examinations.
तो ये जो डिग्री है श्री अभय चरणारविंद भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी श्रीला प्रभुपाद और प्रशिक्षण मंत्रालय की तरफ से
ಈ ಒಂದು ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಬರೆದಿದ್ದಾರೆ. ಈ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಅಭಯಚರಣಾರಿಂದ ಭಕ್ತಿವೇದಾಂತ ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಪ್ರಭುಪಾದರಿಂದ ಅಂತ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣ ಮಂತ್ರಾಲಯದಿಂದ ಬಂದಿದೆ.
I heard 29 devotees got the degree.
I heard 29 devotees have got the degree.
मैंने सुना है कि 29 भक्तों को आज डिग्री मिली है.
29 ಭಕ್ತರಿಗೆ ಇವತ್ತು ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ ಅಂತ ನಾನು ಕೇಳಿದ್ದೀನಿ.
Hari Bol. It's like a bachelor's degree.
ऐसा लगता है जैसे बैचलर की डिग्री मिली हो.
ಬ್ಯಾಚುಲರ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಸಿಗ್ತಾ ಇರೋಗಿದೆ.
And Bhakti Vaibhav is like a master's degree.
और भक्ति वैभव स्नातकोत्तर परीक्षा की तरह है.
ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೈಭವ ಮಾಸ್ಟರ್ಸ್ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ತರ.
Bhaktivedanta, Sarvabhauma, and PhD.
Bhakti Vedanta and Sarvabhauma are like PhD.
और भक्ति वेदांत तथा भक्ति सार्वभौम PhD की तरह है.
ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೇದಾಂತ ಮತ್ತು ಭಕ್ತಿ ಸಾರ್ವಭೌಮ PhD ತರ ಇದೆ.
We want all of you to be fully educated in Krishna consciousness.
So we want all of you to be fully educated in Krishna consciousness.
तो हम चाहते हैं आप सब लोग कृष्ण भावनामृत में पूरी तरह प्रशिक्षित हो जाएं.
ನೀವೆಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ನೀವೆಲ್ಲ ಶಿಕ್ಷಿತರಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ನಾವು ಬಯಸ್ತೀವಿ.
I have a family, mother, the children, they're all my disciples.
I had a family, the father, the mother, and children all are my disciples.
एक परिवार को जानता हूँ जहाँ पिता और बच्चे वे सब मेरे शिष्य हैं.
ನನಗೆ ಒಂದು ಕುಟುಂಬ ತಿಳಿದಿದೆ. ಆ ಮನೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಂದೆ ಮಕ್ಕಳು ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಕೂಡ ನನ್ನ ಶಿಷ್ಯಂದರು.
But the father was against.
But the father was against.
किंतु पिता जो था वो विरोध में था.
ಆದರೆ ತಂದೆ ವಿರೋಧಿಯಾಗಿದ್ರು.
And the doctor analyzed him and said, "You have cancer."
Then the doctor analyzed him and said that you have cancer.
फिर चिकित्सक ने उसको जांच पड़ताल की और उस पिता को कहा कि आपको कैंसर का रोग है.
ಆದರೆ ಡಾಕ್ಟರ್ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನಿಮಗೆ ಕ್ಯಾನ್ಸರ್ ರೋಗ ಇದೆ ಅಂತ.
He was lying in the bed.
So he was lying on the bed.
और वो अपने पलंग पे लेटे हुए थे.
ಅವರು ಹಾಸಿಗೆಯಲ್ಲಿ ಮಲಗಿದ್ರು.
Two guys walked through the wall.
Two guys walked through the wall.
दो लोग दीवार में से आए.
ಇಬ್ಬರು ವ್ಯಕ್ತಿಗಳು ಗೋಡೆ ಮೂಲಕ ಬಂದರು.
Everybody was carrying ropes.
उनके हाथ
Leather ropes.
उनके हाथ में चमड़े की रस्सियां थी.
ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಲೆದರ್ ಇಂದ ಮಾಡಿರುವಂತಹ ಹಗ್ಗಗಳನ್ನು ಇಟ್ಕೊಂಡಿದ್ರು.
They had big teeth.
उनके बड़े बड़े दांत थे.
ದೊಡ್ಡ ದೊಡ್ಡ ಹಲ್ಲು ಹೊಂದಿದ್ರು.
They were very ghastly Yamadutas.
वे बहुत ही भयंकर दिखाई देने वाले यमदूत थे.
ಭಯಂಕರವಾದ ಯಮದೂತರು ಅವರು.
And the husband, he said, "No, I don't know."
And the husband said, "No, not me."
और फिर पति ने कहा नहीं, मैं नहीं जाना चाहता हूँ.
ಅವಾಗ ಅವನು ಹೇಳ್ತಾನೆ ನಾನಲ್ಲ ನಾನು ಇಲ್ಲಿಂದ ಹೋಗಕ್ಕೆ ಇಷ್ಟ ಇಲ್ಲ ನನಗೆ.
No,
not me. You are at the wrong address.
नहीं, मैं आप गलत पते पर आ गए.
ಇಲ್ಲ ನಾನಲ್ಲ, ನೀವು ತಪ್ಪು ಅಡ್ರೆಸ್ ಬಂದಿದ್ದೀರಾ.
Then they left through the wall.
और फिर वे दीवार में से ही वापस चले गए.
ಮತ್ತೆ ಅವ್ರು ಹಾಗೆ ವಾಪಸ್ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ.
Father called the wife.
Father called the wife.
और फिर उस पिता ने अपनी पत्नी को बुलाया।
ಆಮೇಲೆ ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಪತ್ನಿಯನ್ನು ಕರೀತಾರೆ.
I want the neck beats.
I want the neck beads.
उसने कहा
I want Bhagavad Gita. I want Chandra Mala.
उसने अपनी पत्नी को बुलाकर कहा कि मेरे गले में कठी माला पहनाओ और मुझे भगवत गीता दो और मुझे कृष्ण भावना भावित होना है।
ಅವರು ತಮ್ಮ ಪತ್ನಿಯನ್ನು ಕರೆದು ನನಗೆ ಕಂಠಿ ಮಾಲಾ ಕೊಡು, ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತಾ ಕೊಡು, ನಾನು ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಪ್ರಜ್ಞಾವಂತನಾಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ.
Overnight, he became a devotee.
And overnight he became a devotee.
एक ही रात में भक्त बन गया।
ರಾತ್ರಿ ಅವರು ಭಕ್ತರಾಗಿ ಹೋಗ್ತಾರೆ.
We were preaching and our preaching didn't have effect.
We did preach to him, but our preaching didn't have effect.
हमने प्रचार तो किया था लेकिन हमारे प्रचार का इतना प्रभाव नहीं पड़ा।
ನಾವು ಪ್ರಚಾರ ಮಾಡಿದ್ವಿ ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮ್ಮ ಪ್ರಚಾರದಿಂದ ಅಷ್ಟು ಪ್ರಭಾವ ಆಗಿರಲಿಲ್ಲ.
When the Yamadutas came, all
When the Yamadutas came, it was all he got realized.
लेकिन जैसे ही यमदूत आए उसे तुरंत ज्ञान हो गया।
ಯಮದೂತರು ಬಂದ ತಕ್ಷಣ ಅವರಿಗೆ ಸಾಕ್ಷಾತ್ಕಾರವಾಗೋಯ್ತು.
So, 1 few minutes, Yamaduta changed his heart.
One few minutes, the Yamadutas changed his heart.
तो कुछ क्षणों में ही यमदूतों ने उसका हृदय परिवर्तित कर दिया।
ಕೆಲ ನಿಮಿಷಗಳಲ್ಲೇ ಆ ಯಮದೂತರು ಅವರ ಹೃದಯ ಪರಿವರ್ತನೆ ಮಾಡಿಬಿಡ್ತಾರೆ.
We went to your house to read Krishna Sangha, and the Yamadutas know that they don't belong here.
So we want you to be Krishna centered, and the Yamadutas should know that they don't belong here.
हम चाहते हैं कि आपके घर कृष्ण के केंद्र रहें और यमदूतों को पता होना चाहिए कि उन्हें यहाँ नहीं आना है।
ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಕೇಂದ್ರಿತವಾಗಿಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯಮದೂತರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಮನೆಗೆ ಬರಬಾರ್ದು ಅಂತ ಅವರಿಗೆ ತಿಳಿಯುವಂಗೆ ಆಗಬೇಕು.
And you get the Bhakti Shastri teach other people.
And you get the Bhakti Shastri and teach other people.
तो आप भक्ति शास्त्री की उपाधि प्राप्त कीजिए और उसके बाद अन्यों को पढ़ाइए।
ನೀವು ಭಕ್ತಿ ಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಉಪಾಧಿಯನ್ನು ಪಡ್ಕೊಂಡು ಇನ್ನೊಬ್ಬರಿಗೆ ಬೇರೆಯವರಿಗೆ ನೀವು ಕಲಿಸಬೇಕು.
So I keep Maharaj.
I don't want all of you. I don't want to keep His Holiness Bhanu Swami Maharaj waiting.
तो मैं नहीं चाहता कि श्री परम पूज्य भानु स्वामी महाराज प्रतीक्षा करें।
ಪರಮ ಪೂಜ್ಯ ಭಾನು ಸ್ವಾಮಿ ಮಹಾರಾಜರು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಯೋದು ಬೇಡ ಅಂತ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇದೆ.
I don't want to keep you waiting either.
और मैं आप लोगों को भी प्रतीक्षा नहीं कराना चाहता हूँ।
ನೀವು ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಕಾಯಬೇಕು ಅನ್ನೋದು ನನಗೆ ಅನಿಸ್ತಾ ಇಲ್ಲ.
If the Yamadutas are on the way, then tell them chant Hare Krishna and be happy.
अगर यमदूत आपकी तरफ आए भी तो उनको बोलिएगा कि हरे कृष्ण का जप करिए और प्रसन्न रहिए।
ಆ ಯಮದೂತರು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಕಡೆ ಬಂದರೂ ಕೂಡ ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ನಾಮದ ಜಪ ಮಾಡಿ ಸಂತೋಷವಾಗಿರಿ ಅಂತ ಹೇಳ್ಬಿಡಿ.
And then the Vishnudutas will come.
और फिर विष्णुदूत आएंगे।
ಅವಾಗ ವಿಷ್ಣುದೂತರು ಬರ್ತಾರೆ.
If they teachers for taking the trouble and time and effort to give the Bhagavad Gita course to the devotees.
So we'd like to thank the teachers who have taken the time, the trouble to give this Bhagavad Gita course to all the students.
और हम प्रशिक्षकों का भी धन्यवाद देते हैं जिन्होंने अपना बहुमूल्य समय निकाला इन सभी को प्रशिक्षित करने हेतु।
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರೆಲ್ಲ ಬಂದಿರೋರು ಭಗವದ್ಗೀತೆಯನ್ನು ಕಲಿಸೋದಕ್ಕೆ ತಮ್ಮ ಅಮೂಲ್ಯವಾದ ಸಮಯ ಶ್ರಮವನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿರೋದಕ್ಕೆ ನಾವು ಅಭಿನಂದನೆಗಳನ್ನು.
We are all indebted to the teachers.
हम सभी प्रशिक्षकों के ऋणी हैं।
ನಾವು ಈ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರಿಗೆ ಕೃತಜ್ಞರಾಗಿದ್ದೀವಿ.
Those who pass, they can also become teachers.
जो आज उत्तीर्ण हो गए हैं वे भी प्रशिक्षक बन सकते हैं।
ಇವತ್ತು ಯಾರು ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾಗಿದ್ದೀರೋ ನೀವು ಕೂಡ ಶಿಕ್ಷಕರಾಗಬೇಕು.
There is a special course for that.
उसके लिए भी एक विशेष कोर्स है।
ಅದಕ್ಕೂ ಒಂದು ವಿಶೇಷ ಕೋರ್ಸ್ ಇದೆ.
We now request all our teachers, please come forward. We would like to express our gratitude to all the teachers. We request His Holiness Dhanaswar Maharaj and Guru Maharaj to kindly present the gift to the teachers. Hare Leela Prabhu. Can you please chant for the teachers? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
I'd like to share one small information to all of you, which will encourage you to take up Shastrik study very seriously.
Mahananda Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Hare
Wait.
मैं चाहूंगा कि एक छोटी सी कहानी आपको बताऊं जिससे आप प्रशिक्षण को पूरी गंभीरता से ले सकें।
ಒಂದು ಚಿಕ್ಕ ಕಥೆಯನ್ನು ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ ಈ ಶಿಕ್ಷಣವನ್ನು ನೀವು ಇವಾಗ ಗಂಭೀರವಾಗಿ ತಗೊಳ್ತೀರಾ.
Guru Maharaj was offered by Mayapur Institute that he will get honorary Bhakti Vaibhav degree because of his position.
तो मायापुर इंस्टीट्यूट ने गुरु महाराज को ये कहा था कि वे उन्हें ऑनररी भक्ति वैभव डिग्री प्रदान करना चाहते हैं क्योंकि उनका ओहदा बहुत ऊंचा है।
Bhakti Vedanta.
भक्ति वेदांत
ಮಾಯಾಪುರ ಇನ್ಸ್ಟಿಟ್ಯೂಟ್ ಅವರು ಮಹಾರಾಜರಿಗೆ ಅವರ ಸ್ಥಾನಕ್ಕೆ ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೇದಾಂತ ಅನ್ನೋ ಒಂದು ಬಿರುದನ್ನು ಕೊಟ್ಟಿದ್ದಾರೆ.
No, that's not the story. Okay? You please hold on with your hands. Guru Maharaj said, I don't want honorary degree.
लेकिन ये कहानी नहीं है। गुरु महाराज ने कहा मुझे नहीं चाहिए ऐसी ऑनररी डिग्री।
I will.
ಆದರೆ ಇದು ಕಥೆ ಅಲ್ಲ. ಮಹಾರಾಜ್ ಹೇಳ್ತಾರೆ ನನಗೆ ಈ ಆನರರಿ ಡಿಗ್ರಿ ಬೇಡ ನನಗೆ.
I will study Bhakti Vaibhav, I will give exam and I will earn my degree.
मैं भक्ति वैभव का पाठ्यक्रम पढ़ूंगा, परीक्षा दूंगा, उत्तीर्ण होऊंगा और फिर डिग्री लूंगा।
And then
ಭಕ್ತಿ ವೈಭವದ ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ಓದ್ತೀನಿ, ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ತಗೊಳ್ತೀನಿ, ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣನಾಗ್ತೀನಿ, ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಾನು ಡಿಗ್ರಿಯನ್ನು ತಗೋತೀನಿ.
And then I will study Bhakti Vedanta and I will take Bhakti Vedanta degree by studying and giving exam.
और फिर मैं भक्ति वेदांत पाठ्यक्रम के लिए तैयारी करूंगा, परीक्षा दूंगा और फिर डिग्री लूंगा।
ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ತಗೋತೀನಿ.
So now you all know what you should do.
अब आप सब जानते हैं आपको क्या करना चाहिए।
Hari Bol.
So far, my success is I got A+.
So far I took 3 exams and got A+.
तीन परीक्षाएं दी और मुझे A+ मिला।
ಇವಾಗ ನಾನು 3 ಪರೀಕ್ಷೆಯನ್ನು ತಗೊಂಡಿದ್ದೀನಿ ಮತ್ತೆ ನನಗೆ 3ರಲ್ಲೂ A+ ಸಿಕ್ಕಿದೆ.
Mahananda Prabhu.
I think we can all
Narayan Padmanabh Prabhu.
keep chanting Hari Hari for all these wonderful teachers. Hari Hari,
Anantavallabh Prabhu.
Hari Hari,
Jnani Jagannath Prabhu.
Hari Hari,
Nityananda Prabhu.
Hari Hari.
Please loudly chant for all the teachers. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Now we will be distributing the certificates to all the students.
अब सभी
Radha Krishna Prabhu. Radha Krishna Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama अब सभी जो भक्त उत्तीर्ण हुए हैं उन्हें डिग्रियां प्रदान की जाएंगी।
ಇವಾಗ ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾಗಿರೋರಿಗೆ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಕೊಡ್ತಾರೆ.
All the students kindly come forward and collect the certificates.
सभी जो विद्यार्थी भक्त हैं जिन्होंने परीक्षा उत्तीर्ण की है कृपया आगे आवें और अपना प्रशस्ति पत्र प्राप्त करें।
ಉತ್ತೀರ್ಣರಾಗಿರೋ ಭಕ್ತರು ಮುಂದೆ ಬಂದು ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ಅನ್ನು ತಗೋಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ವಿನಂತಿ.
Others kindly give the way to students. Some of the request kindly give way.
Those are coming the participants. Those are coming.
Susevini Mataji, please come forward to collect the certificate.
ಸುಸೇವಿನಿ ಮಾತಾಜಿ,
Shankarshan Prabhu. शाहजी प्रभु, ऐश्वर्या अशोक नाथ जी, आनंद सिंधु निताय प्रभु, रसेश्वरी पद्मा माता जी।
ऑलरेडी
Kindly offer obeisances after going down from the stage. Please don't offer obeisances on the stage. शाहजी प्रभु, kindly go on the stage.
कृपया स्टेज पर प्रणाम न करें, आप अपना प्रशस्ति पत्र प्राप्त करके आगे जाएं।
ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರಗಳನ್ನು ಮಾಡಲಿಕ್ಕೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಸರ್ಟಿಫಿಕೇಟ್ ತಗೊಂಡು ಆಮೇಲೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರವನ್ನು ಮಾಡಬೇಕು ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಬಂದು.
शाहजी प्रभु, ऐश्वर्या अशोक माता जी, आनंद सिंधु प्रभु,
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ.
भक्तों से निवेदन है, मंच पर चढ़ते समय मास्क पहने। भक्तों से निवेदन है, मंच पर चढ़ते समय कृपया मास्क पहनकर रखें।
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ಮಾಸ್ಕ್ ಹಾಕೊಂಡು ಸ್ಟೇಜ್ ಮೇಲೆ ಹೋಗಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಪ್ರಾರ್ಥನೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಮೇಲೆ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ ಮಾಡಬೇಡಿ.
Devotees are requested to keep their masks on while receiving the certificate from Guru Maharaj.
সাউন্ডটা আছে মাত্র সাউন্ডটা পাচ্ছে বাইরে
रवितेजा प्रभु, विशाखा तुरंगा माता जी, स्वर्णांगी माता जी, विदुर माधव प्रभु, पद्मनाभ अच्युत प्रभु, गीतगम्य गायत्री माता जी, देवपति दामोदर प्रभु, देवदत्त पार्थ प्रभु, केशव कृपा सिंधु प्रभु। जगन्नाथेश्वरी माता जी,
Devotees who have received their certificates, please clear the stage. भक्तों से निवेदन है कि जिनको प्रशस्ति पत्र प्राप्त हो गए हैं वे कृपया स्टेज छोड़ें।
केशव गौर प्रभु। केशव कृपा सिंह प्रभु। Can we loudly chant once for all our students? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
जय पति पवन महाराज की। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे राम हरे राम राम हरे हरे बोलो बोलो हरे राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे।
अभी प्रोग्राम खत्म नहीं है तो मैं आ रहा है अभी
कृपया सभी लोग बैठ जाइए। प्रोग्राम अभी तक खत्म नहीं हुआ है। गुरु महाराज फिर से आ रहे हैं। सभी लोग कृपया बैठ जाइए। अभी बाद अभिषेक होगा। सभी लोग कृपया दर्शन कीजिए। गुरु महाराज फिर से आ रहे हैं। सभी लोग कृपया बैठ जाइए। माता जी लोग कृपया बैठ जाइए। प्रभु लोग उधर से बैठ जाइए कृपया।
आगे आगे रखे तो आगे वाला है उसका हाथ फीड वाश करेगा उसको लगेगा
जब अभिषेक होगा हाथ सामने ऐसे कीजिए। सभी लोग का एक साथ अभिषेक हो जाएगा। इस तरह आप लोग अभिषेक कर सकते हैं। कृपया सभी लोग बैठ जाइए। अपना स्थान प्रस्थान मत कीजिए। उधर ही बैठ जाइए। ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಒಂದೇ ಒಂದು ಸಣ್ಣ ಸೂಚನೆ, ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಇನ್ನೊಂದು ಭಕ್ತಿಶಾಸ್ತ್ರಿ ಬ್ಯಾಚ್ ಶುರು ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇದ್ದೀವಿ. ಯಾರಿಗಾದ್ರೂ ಆಸಕ್ತಿ ಇದ್ರೆ ದಯವಿಟ್ಟು ನಮಗೆ ನಿಮ್ಮ ಹೆಸರನ್ನು ಕೊಡಬೇಕು ಅಂತ ಕೇಳ್ಕೊತೀವಿ. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ. ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಹರೇ ಕೃಷ್ಣ 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 ಹರೇ ಹರೇ Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna Guru Charana Mano Kivara Bhakti Sarma Guru Charana Mano Guru Charana Mano Kivara Hare चैतन्य लीला क्लास है यहाँ होगी
एक बार रिकॉर्ड करूँगा
हरि बोल चैतन्य लीला क्लास होगी वो चैतन्य लीला क्लास हरे कृष्ण तो सुबह स्नान यात्रा है सब लोग आइए जल्दी से
वाहन यात्रा प्रोग्राम है तो सबको आमंत्रित है, सब लोग सुबह जल्दी आ जाए।
प्रभु जी
हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की विदाय गौर प्रेमानंदे। सब लोग महाप्रसाद के लिए प्रस्थान कीजिए।
কতগুলো আছে এবারে দিচ্ছি
सिर्फ एक देख रहा है, वो भी पता नहीं कौन है।
पानी में गिर गया था, सीढ़ी में पटक गया तो सही है।
मालाटा दे दो, माता
बात करो।
हरि बोल हरे कृष्णा गुरु महाराज जी जा चुके हैं।
बात करो।
इधर दोनों भाई भाई मिलकर जा रहे हैं।
বলেন কি হইছে আজকে, কি হইছে বলেন ও আজকে কি হইছে, আজকে কি হইছে বলেন বলেন। বলেন
हरे कृष्णा। श्री गौर भक्तवृंद, आज के हमारे शेषाद्रिपुरम श्री जगन्नाथ मंदिरे परम आराध्य गुरु महाराज ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य श्री शिल जयपताका स्वामी गुरु महाराज एसेছেন। ওনার এই মহতি আগমন এবং শুভবার্তায় আজকে ভক্তদের হৃদয়ে প্লাবিত হচ্ছে এবং 3 দিন ব্যাপী 5 দিন ব্যাপী প্রোগ্রাম রয়েছে। আজকে গুরু মহারাজ পূর্ণা কুম্ভা স্বীকার করেছেন এবং মর্যাদা শাল গ্রহণ করেছেন এবং গুরু মহারাজ সকল ভক্তবৃন্দদের আশীর্বাদ করার জন্য পাতিয়াভিষেক গ্রহণ করেছেন এবং আগামীকাল আমাদের শ্রীমন্দিরে শ্রী জগন্নাথের স্নানযাত্রা মহোৎসব অনুষ্ঠিত হতে যাচ্ছে। তো অনুষ্ঠানে অংশগ্রহণ করবেন ওম বিষ্ণুপাদ শ্রী শিল জয়পতাকা স্বামী গুরু মহারাজ এবং শিল ভানুস্বামী মহারাজ। তো আপনাদের স্বাগতম জানাচ্ছি এবং আশা করছি আপনারা সকলে এই অনুষ্ঠানে যারা অনলাইনে আছেন তারা সকলে অংশগ্রহণ করবেন। হরে কৃষ্ণ।